In this video, I'm going to be going over a bunch of creatures that need a TLC update in Ark Survival Evolved. If you don't know what a TLC update is, it's basically where they revamp an old creature from the game, usually creatures that are like 5 or 6 years old. I also made a community post on this, how to see what other people think, so I'll definitely have a few of the comments from there in this video, and a lot of the suggestions were from the comments on that. So first on the list is the Carno. I had a ton of comments saying that the Carno definitely needed to be one, and I definitely do agree. It really does need to be given a TLC update. Of course, it's not really that useful and is kind of overshadowed by all the other carnivores, and it doesn't really have any abilities. All it has is a bleed attack, which was just added about a year ago now. And I believe it was in the game when the game first came out 6 years ago. So this is a very outdated creature, which is definitely why I think it needs to get a TLC update with some new abilities. After that is the Bronto. Now obviously the Bronto was suggested a ton as well, and this is probably one of the ones most people want a TLC update for. So of course the Bronto is one of the only sauropods in the game, and just doesn't really have much to it. The model isn't the greatest out of all the other creatures, and it really doesn't have any other abilities. It does have a platform saddle, which is useful, but this doesn't really do much. All it can do is gather berries, and then the attack doesn't do much damage because all it has is a tail whip. We definitely want some more abilities with the Bronto and other stuff like that, and maybe more useful platform saddle and stuff like that. Next on the list is the Quetzal. This is one that I've wanted them to TLC for a long time, and they still haven't yet, but of course, this creature has been in the game since like 2016, so it's been in the game for about 5 years, and it used to be one of the best flyers in the game, and used to be one of the go-to creatures that you needed. But nowadays, it's just not that useful, and creatures like the RG and stuff like that are better than this because they have way more abilities, and they're easier to tame. This thing is way too hard to tame for how, not good it is anymore. So I definitely think it needs to have a buff. Next on the list is the Giga, or the Giganotosaurus. It's definitely one of the strongest creatures in the game, and is also one of the hardest creatures to tame in the game. The reason I think it needs a TLC is it just doesn't have too many abilities. All it basically has is a bite attack, and then it has a roar, which is pretty pathetic to be honest, and it doesn't do anything either, unlike the T-Rex roar where it actually does something. This one is completely useless, so all it has is a bite, which does a bleed attack, which definitely is really useful though. Next on the list is the Megalodon. So of course the Megalodon is probably one of the older creatures in the game, and I just feel like it really does need a TLC, and I think everyone would agree with me on that, because they're just found everywhere and they're not too useful. They're also way too small compared to the actual Megalodon. I think they'd actually need to be way bigger. It does have a tech saddle though, which is pretty useful. After that we have the Mosa. So the Mosasaur is probably one of the biggest sea creatures in the game, under the Tuso and the giant whale thing. But this is not one of the best. Things like Basilo, which is way smaller and easier to tame, is way more useful, mainly because the jellyfish stun basically makes it impossible to use in caves and stuff like that, so it should be immune to jellyfish stuns. It also has a platform saddle and a tech saddle, but this thing is also really hard to turn around with and just handle in general, which isn't really that useful. Before we get to the last one, we're just going to go over some of the comments that people have left and their suggestions, because of course all these suggestions did not make it into the list. Anyway, last on the list we have the Plesiosaur. This one definitely had a ton of comments saying that this one needs to be reworked with. I definitely think it does, because it only has one attack, which is the bite attack. It is also extremely hard to hit anything with, which I definitely think that needs a rework. It does have a platform saddle though, it's just pretty quick. It also is one of the faster things, which I think people don't really give it enough credit for, because it is really quick in the water, which I think is a very useful skill. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Also make sure to follow me on Twitter, and also you can join the Discord server as well. There's links to both of those in the description. Thanks for watching, and bye.